Hello, everyone. My name is Jesse Adams, and welcome to this wonderful show put together by the Actors Warehouse. We have some wonderful people here in the studio today, Miss Sherry Browning and Mr. George Johnson III. Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the Juneteenth Festival that we're working on, and we're going to get a little bit of history, a little bit of understanding about this year's upcoming event.
Hello, my name is Sherry Browning, and I'm also the mascot for the Juneteenth every year all around the city of Houston, and also one of the first Juneteenth queens. Well, it really got started because in Texas we were the last ones to get the news that colored people and Negro people, as we were called back then, were free, and it was a late news that we got it, but we got it, and we were so excited. Oh, Weezy, we moving on up.
I see you brought a guest, right? Mr. George Johnson III.
Yes.
Mr. George Johnson, how do you know Miss Browning? Obviously, you have a wonderful relationship. So, how do you know Miss Browning?
How do I know Miss Browning? My mother, Mildred Johnson, is the pageant director of the Juneteenth. Mm-hmm. And Miss Browning just happened to be one of her first Juneteenth queens. And I got an opportunity to meet her several years ago. And she has been very active in the Juneteenth celebration for years. And we connected a couple of months ago. We reconnected. And we're here now, and we're here to represent her once again another year.
Yes, the first one was Reverend C. Anderson Davis. He was the first, well, like I said, we were called colored and Negroes back then. Man, to have a big parade like the Rose Bowl parade. And he also had a grandstand, and that was something to have back then. And a lot of people didn't. And he would be having programs like at the park, Herman Park. Yes. Well, since I was taught through Reverend C. Anderson Davis, Al Edwards, and a few more people that had their own Juneteenths back then. So they would invite me to all of their programs. And this, just a couple of years ago, they started having them in Galveston, and that was Al Edwards, which is really fantastic. And he would also have BET to come out and film, and that was a really, really big deal back then.
We're talking about a little entertainment there. So, which your father, Sherry Browning, is John Browning, right? And
yes.
Instrumental in the history of music in Houston. Can you tell us a little bit about him? How amazing he was?
Oh, well, when he was a young boy, 15, Juilliard heard about him. He was good at knowing how to play all the instruments, and he never had training. So when they asked for him to come to Juilliard in New York, they said, well, he is unbelievable. We don't think we need to keep him in the school. Back then they had what was called social promotion, and they would promote you if you was real advanced at that time. And they said, all we need you to do is come back every now and then to teach the class. So his first job was with B.B. King. And so then after that, he met Ed Sullivan. And Ed Sullivan had a TV show. And he said, well, could you help me with my TV show? I need some colored people and some Negro performers. And at that time, my father was working with people like Aretha Franklin and Nancy Wilson, B.B. King, and all those type of people. And also the youngest group he worked with was Howard Hewitt, that sings Say Amen, and the Jackson Fives, when they had nappy hair, and Gary and Anna at their house. And they didn't know that Michael was going to be the superstar, and they kind of shunned Michael back. and his light turned on, and it was it. He was bigger than big, you know, and he made it. He made it happen for the whole family. So it was some great times meeting those type of people, because they used to have to come to our house for rehearsals. But I really didn't like it because they had to warm up, you know, and they may be, somebody may play the trumpet, which is loud, and I would have the pillow over my head. I said, "Oh, Daddy, do they have to come today?" But anyway, when it's all done and people hear it on the radio, they say, "Did you hear that song?" And I'd be like, "Did I hear that song?" But one thing I want to tell you what was cute, though. When it's time to record a record back in those days, and remember that song, my mother-in-law, I met that man too. And they would say, "Now you got to get this right now. We already had rehearsals, and there ain't no going back. It got to be right." And then my daddy said, "You go in the next room. We don't want nothing to mess us up, so we can go and get this record deal, because we want to be on the Ed Sullivan Show." And then after they got on the Ed Sullivan Show, what's that, American Bandstand show was great back then. So he was asked to help with that show. And later on, it was Don Cornelius with Soul Train. And he helped Don Cornelius with his TV show. And it just went on and trickulated on and on. And that's how I met all these great people. What is his name? Oh, Marvin Gaye. I was backstage. He was in a cage, you know, and I'm going like, "Oh, okay." I said, that look like fun. I want to get in the cage with Marvin Gaye.
So you also met rock icons such as The Who and Led Zeppelin.
Oh, boy. Johnny Winters, Edgar Winters. Oh, boy. And then Dr. John. It was so dark backstage. And it was down the street, really. At the University of Houston was a Hall Pines Pavilion, and it still is now. And he came from the dark, you know, and I couldn't see him. And then when I saw him, I said, "Ah!" I screamed. And he's like, "Oh, no, this me." I said, "You didn't look like that when you came in here." But it was a great show. It was great, magnificent.
Now,
They was rocking the place.
Now I heard that you could sew, right? Can you tell me about how sewing got you into this wonderful, working for this icon of music? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, when I was a little girl, I didn't know that he was paying attention. And I'm talking about James Brown, the godfather of soul. So some years later, I decided I wanted to go and learn some more about it. And it was a black man there, Mr. Johnny Burton. He was the first black man to have a business downtown. And all the superstars, I don't care who they was, Johnny Cash, Johnny Nash, he did it all, you know, for all the stars. And so James Brown called. He said, and then so he said, "Who is that? That sounds like Lil Browning in the back." And then so he said, "Yeah." And then so I said, "Yeah, that's me." You know, he said, "Ooh, I want you to make me something. Make me something." And then so I said, "Okay, JB, I'm going to make you something." The first thing I designed for him was a cape, and it had lights on it. And so I told him, "I'm going to get you a strobe light." He said, "What's a strobe? What's a strobe light?" I said, "It's going to make it look like you really raising hell on the dance floor." "Oh, I know I can dance. I don't need no help." I said, "Well, you're a little bit older now, JB." And so he said, "Ooh, I like that strobe light stuff." So he had another song that came out called Coming to Living in America, and he had he knew that I know how to sew, so I made the outfits for his dancers. They had on red, white, and blue, you know, and everything. And so he said, "Oh, yeah, now I got another song called Spank." So I said, "Okay." He said, "You gonna make me that? You gonna make me that one?" I said, "Uh-huh." I say, you still fine? Because we were talking on the phone then. I say, you still fine? What you mean I'm still fine? You know I'm still fine, girl. And so the outfit had rhinestones on it. And the back of it, it had the gold hand spanking his tush in the back. Ooh, I like that, I like that. And he said, and look, you got it. I said, he said, what's that called? I said, it's called a cold shoulder. And then so he said, yeah, they see my muscles. But he ended up giving me fashion shows and so I could make some money. And he paid me a good sum of money to make all those wild costumes.
Man, that's history in itself. And George has been listening and enjoying the stories himself.
That's right. That's right.
Let's talk
Well,
about
it was true.
Let's talk about one of the reasons is because we have a wonderful scholarship program coming for this year, Juneteenth,
Okay.
and the Robert L. Green, Kurt Green scholarship program that we're working with this year. And tell me a little about how you work with kids, right? Are you the talented kids? You had so many. You saved us many a time. So tell us a little bit about your relationship with kids and music and entertainment.
Okay, well, that happened a long time ago. There was a man named Chuck Sutton. He was calling for my father, and he was the man that ran the Apollo Theater back then. And so, and somehow Johnny Taylor got into our conversation, and so Johnny Taylor goes, "Oh, well, let me talk to Pete." I said, "Don't know Pete live here," and I hung up the phone and he called right back. "Girl, you know this, JT." And so he said, "I'm gonna be on the Apollo. That's why we calling you." And he said, "You gonna hook me up, right? You gonna make me something pretty to wear too, huh?" And then so I said, "Okay, JT." And then so I don't know how it happened. Somehow, Mr. Chuck Sutton from the Apollo Theater, he thought I had all the knowledge my daddy had, which I didn't, duh. But anyhow, I knew a lot of talented kids. And so he said, "Well, why don't you come and be on the Apollo?" I said, "No, I can't come to the Apollo right now." I said, "But I can get the kids on." And so he said, "Okay, you can start auditioning the kids in Houston for me." And that's what I did for many years. And I had a lot of them to perform for Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee's Christmas parties that she would have at the George R. Brown every year. So that's how that happened. I never got a chance to meet Mr. Chuck Sutton, but that was my big break, because he would have it where I could set all this up and put it on television and on the news in Houston. And I didn't have to go to New York. But one day I'm going to go.
You will.
Yeah, you were asking about the kids, and I'm an elder over at the Shape Center, right down the street from the Emancipation Park. And a young lady came last week and wanted somebody to sponsor her kids. She wanted to introduce them to the Juneteenth festival over at the Emancipation Park, and they found a spot for her kids to do an African dance at the park on Juneteenth, and it was just wonderful to get her in there. And just one more thing, Sharon. I want to. If I don't mention my my mother, Mildred Johnson, people are gonna be mad at me because they really are. And she was one of really the icons in Houston in fashion. She did fashion shows at the Ramada Inn and the Holiday Inn and all those places. And I was telling some of my friends that how she got to do that. See, my dad was the doorman of Ribbo's Country Club. So my dad knew Mr. Sackowitz, Foley, he knew Mr. Ditto, and he knew all these people personally. So when she got ready to do shows, Mr. Sackowitz said, "Well, can Mildred do my new line of clothes?" And that's how she really got entrenched in the city in that. And also, every year she would take beauty pageant queens to New York and enter them into the Black Teenage America contest. And two of her kids won. One of them married George Foreman. So, and she just did so very many things in the city, especially when it comes to youth. She ended up being the director of the YWCA.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, she trained thousands of kids.
Let me,
Mhm.
let me ask you something, George. As your mother, like as that, how can we continue her legacy in those areas like Emancipation Park and continue those type of programs? What do you feel like we need to do as a community, as a city to continue those things?
It's funny you should ask. Saturday, the Emancipation Park gave a tribute to her. They had a beauty pageant just this Saturday over at the Emancipation Park, and I think that'll go far. That particular tribute, and since we had that tribute, and I have had people email me and Facebook me, and they want to continue the legacy. They not only, my stepmother had charm and model schools all over the city, so they want to do finishing schools. I've had girls call me since Saturday and wanting to do finishing schools and stuff. So there's so very many people just interested just from this tribute that we're gonna get together and start doing something in this city.
Mm-hmm.
And also over at the Shape Center, I'm an elder over there, so I got a little pull every year to start something over there now. So we're looking forward to continuing that legacy.
Well, the main thing is remembering to include all the elders that helped it get to where it is now. You know, even people that came from other cities to be a part of it and to tell the story, like Shantae Moore, the singer, award-winning Howard Hewitt. He comes in that heat all the time and entertain everybody and tell them the Juneteenth story. And that's what it's all about, the slavery times and what we went through to get to where we are now. And it's fine to have modern entertainment, but it needs to be more educational and for the younger kids to learn it so that they could pass it on when we're gone. So I think that'll really be the one, and just make it a unified effort.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's getting involved. You have to get involved with the kids, and you got to teach them their history. To not to learn your history is a big hole in your life. So you take the kids, you mentor them, you teach them their history, and you go from there.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Miss Jackie Bostick. She's the owner of the Emancipation Park. Her daddy is on this right here, Mr. Jack Yates. And a lot of people don't know that, and it's very important. And Miss Doris Ellis, she's on the board over there, and she helps us put all these programs together too. And our Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee.
You know what?
Mayor
Why don't
Turner.
we make a commemorative fan, right, for this Juneteenth and get it out to the public with those special people? And I think that'll be something that we can do.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then that way people can actually look at it and we have a little history. They actually see it for themselves. And I think that would be something we could
Yeah,
do.
that was the idea that I had brought up some months ago, but I didn't have time
Well,
to follow through with it. But that would be a great idea, because I'm
I was-
telling you,
I was at
at the park, it'd be hot out there.
and we're going to do a little history on the fan as well. Like,
I was at Antioch Baptist Church doing my 50-year reunion from Jack Yates High School, as a matter of fact. And we went over there to the founder. We went over there to that church, and the founder's church, Jack Yates High School Church, and that's where I got that fan. And I just started, and my mom, she asked me, Reverend Boone was the preacher at Antioch during my mom's heyday.
well, we could go on all day. I know y'all just a plethora, and we're looking forward to people meeting you during Juneteenth, finding a little bit more about you, and actually reaching out to have you guys come out and speak to students and, involving the history and the culture I'm looking forward to working with you guys, and the Actors Warehouse, I think, are involved, and of course, School of Rock, and Robert L. Green, and FilmFestivalCircuit.com, Hold Down Media, you know, the city of, looking forward to it. Any last words before we get out of here?
I love my watermelon. Watermelon! And I'm glad I'm an American.
I just want to say that I'm donating some money to Jack Yates High School football field. They naming the field after George Floyd, and I'm getting ready to donate to that project.
Absolutely. And just change. You know, you look at schools, that a new donation and a commitment makes things a lot better.
Well, when the young people see George Floyd and they see that field, and it's going to be there for years to come, and like you said, they'll have something to think about. They'll have something, oh, this happened then. Yeah. And so that's one of the reasons I'm behind that project. It's for the kids. It's for the youth.
Yeah.
And Mayor Sylvester Turner, which is one of your homeboys, he's making us proud, Acres Home proud. He's going to also have a big Juneteenth program. I normally go there too. I make my rounds now.
Right. We'll
I'm
be
a good
there.
little mascot.
We're going to see you make your round. Well, I guess that about concluded. Anyway, rave everybody. I'm Jesse Adams, and you're watching the Actors Warehouse on the Actors Warehouse streaming channel, celebrating Juneteenth 2022.